Hey, what up? Hey fellas, welcome back to
Video project number 2.
This video serves as to be a continuation of my previous video, but I'll try to be a bit more concise in explaining the topic and rules for this experiment this time, as last video's explanation mostly consisted of, wow, I can edit now. I had a lot of fun, but it made the overall purpose a bit skewed. So to state the general purpose once again, this is a simple experiment where I take every character in Paladins, count up every character's skin cosmetics, and juxtaposition that with several points of interest, namely how long they've existed for, or how long it's been since they've received a skin last. The final destination for this is to make a list, again, and assign a number for each character that will display how much attention and effort they have received from the developers to somewhat portray this theory of skin favoritism, and show who the real favorites would be if this theory were actually true. Of course, the skin favoritism theory kinda runs along the lines of a lot of characters seem to have a bunch more skins than other characters. So some players kind of automatically assume that certain characters are favorites by the developers and therefore get more skins. I of course call it a theory because people just kind of say it's true and don't really know shit about it, so yeah. I'm doing this experiment and making this list of so-called favorites, kind of both to either disprove or prove the idea. I'm not really saying either or is true. This experiment is purely for fun. I am not at all suggesting that the developers are really holding favorites. I simply find it interesting to explore the topic and throw around ideas of why certain characters may have received more attention via skins than others. That being said, to make a list/experiment of this sort, there needs to be a few disclaimers that gotta be mentioned to keep this thing less convoluted. Now, in my last video, I over-explained the hell out of these, so I'll cut it down to be a bit more straightforward. First off, or disclaimer 1, we are currently in the 5.1 patch, or rather the, what is it called? Schism. Okay, we're in the Schism Patch. So, naturally, I can't cover skins that came afterward, because, you know, I still can't tell the future. Sorry. Second, or disclaimer 2, Paladins used to make unique and sometimes not so unique individual headpieces, weapons, and whatnot. This goes without saying, but those are not full skins. I will be ignoring these. Most of them are old anyway and would not fit the overall quality of skins these days. Third, or disclaimer 3, recolors are not skins. I mean, they are, but, you know, they're recolors. I'm measuring effort that were put into these champions, and recolors do not properly reflect that effort. To be succinct, this includes recolors of a champ's default skin, recolors of a default skin that a champ might already have, and golden skins. I'll go into that a little bit more after the disclaimers. From now on, I'll refer to what I consider to be these full skins that are not recolors or fragments or anything like that. I will refer to those as major skins. I just like the ring to it. It makes it sound all official and shit. I want to stress the idea that major skins will not be any of those things, and major skins are what I am counting when figuring out the differences of this skin favoritism thing. And, you know, who's the favorite, yada yada yada, I already explained that. Disclaimer 4 is something that I can't really not be convoluted about. Default skin reworks will be counted as a major skin. Some characters have had default skin reworks over time, and again, to be succinct, those characters are Barrack, Buck, Cassie, Grok, Ruckus, Sky, and Victor. All of these reworks will be considered major skins, considering these skins would literally be the most important skins for the champion, since it is their new default after all, and the amount of effort put in easily suffices for me. The very last disclaimer here was used last time to discuss certain skins that I had a hard time placing as major skins or not. That took a hell of a long time, so I will instead use this segment as an update to that one. If you want to see all those other skins be discussed in full, please go check out my last video if you're really that interested. But yeah, even though I recorded all the numbers as carefully as I could last time, and quadruple checked it for that last video, a few things did escape my prying eyes, and these are the discoveries and updates that I have gleaned since then. Bomb King has always been a bit of a bother, since he has both a lot of unique and not unique and half unique skins. Biz King was already an annoyance last time, and now we have the Twitch Prime King, which I originally thought was a major skin. It's not. Its model is the same as its default aside from his face and his, well, views. Nice detail, but the skin is far from major. And Love Machine, oh god. Yeah, we're not done with Mr. King yet. There's another skin from the boy with all the problems. A skin that I dislike, and therefore I assumed it was not a recolor, just because I didn't want to look at it. So I don't go into too much detail. This skin has a few differences, I suppose, but it's just so bland. All changes just have so little effort put into them, it looks like. Aside from that, the whole model is basically the same as the default. Pretty much the same deal as Biz King, now that I think about it. So, yeah, get this weird ass skin out of here. Sure as hell not major. For the record, this means Bomb King's major skin count has gone down from 6 in my eyes to 4, so I expect to see him a lot lower on the main list in this video, as opposed posted last time. And Drogos. He's got a really interesting case between Pyre Warrior and Freegal. They are both in the realm of what I consider new skins, which normally means neither of them will be recolors, especially if they're introduced in 2 separate patches as these 2 skins were. But upon further inspection, we see very little difference, which is pretty rare. I literally just assumed they were different though, as again I didn't bother to check since I greatly dislike most of these skins. I just assumed they were different enough. The differences are Freegal now has glasses, a generic jetpack thing, no armor, and a jacket that I can only assume was under the armor the whole time. Small differences do exist, however the vast majority of Freegal is just a recolor of Pyre Warrior, certainly not making it major. This means one of the skins, specifically Pyre Warrior, will be major and the other will not be. With Moldamba, I believe I once thought that the Shiro skin was another major skin just because it was new, and I didn't see that it was a very clearly a recolor of Shadow Lord. Either that or I counted the Navi skin as a major. Honestly, I don't know what I did wrong with Moldamba, but his major skin count was wrong since last analysis, so it's now corrected from 5 majors to 4. Definitely my bad. Sorry. Basically the same thing happened with Shaolin here. Thought he had 4, but he really had 3. This one's a little embarrassing, since I think it was just because of those 3 superhero recolors. Probably thought one of them was major somehow. I don't know. But yeah, my bad. It's really disappointing to me that my original video is now a bit faulty, but you live and learn, I guess. I suppose there's a lot of skins in this game to keep track of, so yeah, my bad. Sorry. Pandemonium is a recolor of Raider. Holy shit. -1 Pip Major skin. Of course, there also have been some odd patches since my original list, releasing a total of 12 new skins into the mix, including a few recolors, of course, for Corvus, Sky, Ray, Dredge, Tyra, Sati, Yagharoth, thank god, Io, Maeve, Ray, again, Azan, Willow, and Ying, in that order. I also should have Victor written down in here, but I don't for some reason, so yeah, he got a skin too. All of those skins are, well, major, of course. And no, 7 alternate masks are not major. Give me a break. Alrighty, that's the miscellaneous things and explanations out of the way. Let's see what's changed from, what was it, 3 patches ago? 4? Well, just like before, let's talk about gold skins quick. They are chipping them down. There are very few characters now who don't have golden skins. And since all modern characters are given golden skins on release, this means that soon enough there will be no characters lacking a gold skin, which is pretty sick. Right at this moment though, the only characters lacking gold skins are Eevee, Fernando, Khan, Moji, Tyra, Victor, and Willow. Some of these characters specifically lack a generally large amount of skins as a whole, but in the long run, what is that? 46 out of 53 with golds? So just 7 more to go, so that's not bad at all. Good job, Devs. I guess I better mention this somewhere, but most likely the next patch preview has been shown to the community by the time this video is edited and released. So this script is most likely a little bit outdated at this point, but what can you do? I guess editing takes a bit of time, so you'll have to forgive me. Okay, it's time to talk about our first category. Who hasn't gotten a skin for the longest? That's I would say this is arguably the most important category because people are biased and lie. I'm one of them. Thankfully, because I'm right in this case, I don't have to lie. And by that I mean, I'm a Cassie main. Cassie's number 1. I've already made a big old dramatic deal last video about how Cassie's latest skin was released on my birthday in 2018, and it made her look like Leon, and the crossbow is too bulky to see while using, and was released in 2018, and people made fun of me for saying she hadn't had a skin in years. Hey, I gave back her a bit of dodge roll. She hasn't had a skin for almost 4 years now. Okay, I do recognize she's not badly off with skins. In fact, she has, in my opinion, probably the single best skin of the game. But I won't deny that it sure as hell has been a while. Her last skin was released on the 1.3 Koga's Revenge patch on July 18th, 2018, meaning it's been, as of last patch, 1,288 days since her last skin. That's as long or longer than 15 champions, yes I counted, have existed at all. And every one of those characters have 1 to 4 major skins. I may be biased, but those stats aren't. One more thing I wanted to mention, just because I feel I kind of need to as a Cassie player. Her Timber skin, which used to be her original default skin before her rework, has just not worked for the past several years, and instead just acts as though it is the Tinder skin. This is kind of just a PSA. I feel like I need to mention again, as, you know, this makes Cassie the only character with a default skin rework that can't access her original default skin, which is a real shame. In any case, though, let's move on here. Next up, we got a tie. We got 2 champions occupying 2nd and 3rd place for not having a skin for a while. These characters being obviously Moji, and less obviously, Pip. Both of these characters last gained a skin on November 14th, 2018, aka in patch 1.8 entitled Remix. Moji is certainly the standout here, as many of the voices calling for skins have included Moji's name. In fact, I would say she is currently the most popular character to complain about in the sense of developer neglect. However, Pip is in an equally sad place. I would say even more so considering the skin he acquired at that point was trying its absolute hardest to be another character entirely. Pip became Pepper, and love it or hate it, it's the last skin he got. And if we fully commit and say Pepper is a separate character to Pip, he would be in by far the worst place, as his skin previous to Pepper was on May 3rd, 2017. Now, I'm totally making shit up at this point, but hopefully it gets my point across. And as I so elegantly stated beforehand, Pip mains, rise, your character calls. Also, I don't like you. Alright, next up we got... Oh, hold up. Looks like somebody got a skin. Yep, any patches before this we would have our girl Willow sitting comfy at 4th place, but look at her. She looks so good. Brings a tear to my eye, truly. And all I have to do is win 75 games of ranked.
Willow. Willow.
Everywhere. Nor any drop to drink. Well, except maybe that drop. That's a little...
Okay, well, I won't take it away from her. Her skin looks fantastic. But regardless, moving on to who was once 5th. In 4th place, we have Grok. Nothing's truly changed in this regard, and I don't have much to say here. This fella's been in a consistent state of being down bad when it comes to skins. I don't even like a lot of the skins he has, which is even more sad, truly. His last skin was acquainted to him during the 2.1 Fire and Ice patch on January 16th, 2019. Don't worry, old boy, you'll get your recompense one day, just not now. And preferably not before Cassie. Anywho, this means we got a newbie in the bottom 5. Everyone please welcome Shalin. Shalin's a lad that used to leave a bad taste in my mouth with skins. There was a time where he would get skin after skin, it seemed. Of course, now I can look back at that and see for what it really was. Recolor after skin fragment after recolor. And at the end of the day, of course, he hasn't had an actual skin for a hell of a long time, with his most recent skin released during the 2.2 End Times patch on February 13th, 2019. Alright, my head hurts, I'm gonna take a break. I'm back. I always enjoy expressing more about the top 5, or rather the bottom 5 in this case, but the further up I go on the list, the less I have to say, so I'll get that out of the way real quick. So moving up from the bottom 5, we have 6th, unfortunately not being Dredge, since the devs wasted a skin on him recently, and now it looks like we have Makoa at 6th. Sky recently got a skin, making Atlas sink even lower to 7th place, while Damba's still next to 8th, Barracks at 9th, and at 10th we have Fernando. A few changes for sure, you'll have to see it. At this point, I'll put up the list for those who would like to get the full picture. Again, there's no reason to cover the top of the list, considering if you play Paladins, you know who they are. It's these guys. Good for them, I guess. Alright, time to move on to our next category here. It's hopefully the more interesting one, as it's what mainly inspired this series, and includes something very near and dear to my heart. Math. As a quick explanation, in this category we will be assigning a number to each individual champion that will reflect how favored they are when juxtapositioning the number of skins a character has with how long they have existed in the game to get that champion's yearly rate of skins, or as I like to call it, the yearly skin ratio. I still don't know if that name is appropriate, I just use it because it sounds cool, and I sure as hell ain't no mathematician, but I'll give a quick rundown as to the, I guess, formula of how I'm assigning this number. So what I did was take the date a character was officially shoved into the game, record the number of days between that date and the date of the current patch, divide that number with 365 to get a nice yearly number equating to how long the character's been in the game. That's one of my favorite numbers. Then we just divide their yearly existence with their major skin count, and boom bap bop, we get our lovely skin ratio. Do that with all 53 champions, line them up, and we got our list. Ready for the ranking? Okay, well, not quite. I need to mention that this formula is not exactly the most succinct and perfect. You see, characters who have not surpassed, let's just say, about a year in age, while at the same time having a skin or several skins, more often than not will have from slightly inflated numbers to very inflated numbers. This unfortunately means several of the newest characters I must eliminate from the main assessment of this category / list thing that I'm trying to compile. Whether or not there is an actual mathematical way to include these characters, I don't know. I've tried calculating it monthly and daily and messing around with other random numbers, but I must admit, like I said, I am no mathematician. In fact, if there is a word for an anti-mathematician, that would be me. That's what they called me back in high school. If anyone out there knows what math is, let me know what I'm doing wrong. I would like to know. But in any case, every other character will be in the correct order, and each character that I feel their number has been inflated due to my system, I will simply dub as having new character syndrome and move on. Anyway, this means that I will not be able to accurately assess these specific characters alongside the rest. 7, obviously, Azan, Sati, Ray, and maybe Vatu and Octavia. But since they are new and don't really have super inflated numbers, I figure I'll keep them in the main list. I'm pretty sure Yagurath and Vora also won't cause any more problems, as they are both now over a year old at this point, or whatever. I'll be real, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, all 50 plus other characters should be perfectly accessible, so we're not missing out on too much here. And now that we got all these disclaimers out of the way, hey guys, welcome to Lay It On Me, allow me to lay it on you. Hey, remember when I said that Ray was one of those characters that couldn't be recorded? So yeah, about that. You know all that stuff I said about inflating numbers and that characters with too little time existing and like more than a skin? Yeah, just forget all that, okay? Because Ray exists. Ray was released 3 patches ago and has 3 skins. Let me repeat that. Ray was released on the Genlock 4.5 patch on July 21st, 2021 and now has 3 skins. You know who else has 3 skins? Rom. And guess what? He was released 2.2 years ago, which is impressive compared to most. Ray has 3 and was released half a year ago. You know who else was released half a year ago? Oh, I don't know, maybe Vatu, Sati, Octavia, maybe even, you know, Yagurath if you want to stretch it. Oh, and I wonder what all those characters have in common. Maybe having to do with, I don't know, maybe the number of skins? 1. They all have 1. Yagurath took till last patch to get 1. All Ray had to do was... But Ray didn't even have to wait until 1 patch. Right? She was literally born with a major skin, and then got another with the next patch. What the f... Oh look, there's another! Okay, so just pretend... Hear me out for a second here. Pretend that she was about as old as Yagurath, and could be accurately measured, since right now, like mentioned, she technically can't because of that whole inflating numbers bullshit. Even then, she would still have the #1 highest skin ratio. And I don't mind saying that it wouldn't even be close. She'd have to be at least 2 years old for her to even drop below #1 when ranking the normalcy of major skins, which, you know, is the point of this video. So like, bro, Ray's a whore. Okay, so I think clearly, despite the fact that her numbers are screwy, she easily takes the #1 spot on this list of theoretical favorites. Once you consider, well, the logic, I guess. If she were suddenly old enough to be recordable, without any sort of compensation, mind you, she'd be #1, no doubt. And I dread for my next video on this topic, considering her skin count is obviously only gonna go up from here. Congratulations, Ray, you're the top dog, truly. You can stop with the sexual favors with the devs now, it's really not appropriate. Alright, jokes aside, let's move on to #2. Okay, I must admit I'm pretty happy how the rest of the list turned out now that I'm looking at it. So I'll go ahead and say that most likely the list is pretty predictable from here on out, and predictability is nice. Starting with Tyra. Tyra is not only second on the list, but she is also second for sheer quantity of skins as a whole. She has a total of 9, which would have tied her for the highest major skin count, and maybe even highest skin ratio as well on my last list. My explanation for why she's on top is largely the same. She has a generic design, allowing for simple skins that aren't often groundbreaking, but are also hardly of poor quality. Tyra is what I like to call the fallback skin lady, as if there's an interesting creative choice that might not fit on some other more stylized characters, it would almost always fit on Tyra due to her simple and inviting design, both aesthetically and gameplay-wise for developers and the average player alike. Being this so-called fallback skin lady, she's slowly crept up since release to the top, just gaining skin after skin. She was released December 20th, 2016, aka OB40, which is basically just after I started playing this game, and I think it's pretty crazy to think I watched every single skin for her arrive without even really batting an eye, yet here she is at #2. She was basically just on the brink of being like very high on my last list, so it's nice to see her grow just a little bit more to reach even higher up. I have an odd respect for characters with very high amounts of skins. Oh, I almost forgot, and her skin ratio is an all-time high for characters who are not abusing the system, standing at a solid 1.76. Lovely. Anyway, moving on to #3 here. Oh, remember how I said that Tyra's skin total is finally 9, which would have tied her for the highest major skin count? Yeah, that's because of this debatably non-sentient elf girl here. For some reason, they made the record skin holder another skin. Who'd have thought? Ying has never been unfamiliar with being a favorite. She's been showered with recolors, fragments, majors, basically anything you can think of since the very beginning of the game. Granted, she hasn't existed since the beginning of the game, being released about a chunk later on April 7th, 2016, or CB20. Did they call closed betas CBs? I don't know, I wasn't around then. Even so, she's probably the only character to have constantly had her toes dipped in the limelight. Most characters might get that grace after they've first been introduced, receiving skin fragments and recolors, or majors in general, at a rapid pace, depending on your time period. But that has always been for a short while. Well, that is aside for with Ying. She has a special privilege. Ying privilege. There has never been a point when she hasn't gained skins at a rapid pace over her 7-year existence, and finally breaking the arbitrary double-digit barrier during this very patch with an atrociously respectable 10 major skins and a skin ratio of 1.72. It is very difficult for characters to overcome the burden of, well, being old when comparing to the newer champions, but as usual she manages to easily sit near the top with little to no resistance with, just a little help from the devs to boost her up there. Beauty. On my last video, I had a total of 2 comments. Now, I'm not complaining at all. I'd be surprised if anyone sat through the whole thing. But out of these 2 comments, convened by my girlfriend and my dear friend Mr. Red, one of them appeared indeed rather suspect. It almost seemed as though the writer was implying a certain character already procuring many a skins should be given another skin, or several, and thus be even higher on the list. And you know what? I like how you think. And apparently so did the devs. It seems as though there's been a slight pattern with the past couple patches, and by that I mean not a pattern at all, and simply characters with a lot of skins get even more whether they deserve it or not. What I'm prefacing is, Maeve. Cat, not cat, lady, girl. What the hell did I write? I did my best to defend Maeve last video, saying that most of her skins are recolors, and so her actual skin count really isn't that impressive. And although I comparatively still agree, she, got another skin. So consider me not able to think of a way to defend her anymore. Okay, to be fair, I do still feel like she at least used to be unfairly regarded as the ultimate skin lass, as though every patch hooked her up with a new skin, like bruh, people were fuming at this chick. It does seem as though people have kind of calmed down about that at this point though, in which case at least I'm happy. Because I see now your annoyance is fully valid and I feel bad for her. Stats-wise, she's been out for a little shorter than Tyra's been around, specifically released on February 8th, 2017 during OB43, and has 1 less skin than her, so as it were, it seems as though she's been gaining skins at a relatively similar rate to Tyra. It's odd to me that people seem to latch more onto the Maeve hate than Tyra, but I digress. Maeve's skin ratio confines to a total of 1.61. It's still cool for me to see a character be created, as well as to be witness to every single skin that character has gained. Almost makes me proud, like a parent. Or maybe just because I actually played her a lot, I don't know. And honestly, I feel like some of her skins are the coolest out there, so you know what? I have to agree with Mr. Red Boy. Give her more. Well, after Cassie anyway. Vora! Look at that, we got a newbie up here. Welcome to the top 5, love. You are, well, number 5. I think it's kind of cool now that we got a couple newer folks with less skins up at the top alongside the veterans. Anyway, as Vora has recently become countable with my truly flawless formula, she's got a kind of heavy case of new character syndrome. She was released on October 28, 2020 with her Vora's Pact patch, aka patch 3.5. Like Ray, she was privileged enough to be set loose alongside a major for her, and another was slapped onto her a patch later, giving her a simple 2 major skins and a healthy skin ratio of 1.6, which is a nice number showing a character being high on the list due to a healthy dose of new character syndrome. Okay, well, that was the top 5. Ray was a bit of an odd one to include, but I felt it was accurate, even if it's breaking my own self-imposed rules a little bit. Also, geez, top 5 is a... what's the opposite of a sausage party? An ovary... an ovarial outing? The f*** did I write? Alright, well, this is the time that I speed up my reviewing of the results a little to explore those a bit further down the list, so have at it. The 6th highest is Khan, with a skin ratio of 1.58. It's actually really interesting that Khan's here at 6th, as Khan was the previous holder of number 1 on this very list last time. This is good. This means that every time I make a video like this, the results will be pretty varied. In any case though, Khan did not gain any skins since my last assessment, and since many other high contenders have gained skins, and Vora is now suddenly able to be counted, Khan is pushed down to 6th. 7th is Leon, with a skin ratio of 1.54. Nothing crazy to say, she was previously 4th on the list I believe, however her skin count for the moment has remained stagnant as time has of course moved forward. She still has 7 skins, which is a lot, but if you're not first, you're not good enough, right? 8th is Vatu, with a skin ratio of 1.49. New character syndrome at his peak. He is now countable unlike before, but he still only has 1 skin, and I can count the months he's been around on 1 4/5 of a hand. 9th is Saris, with a skin ratio of 1.47. Kinda interesting since she was 6th previously. Although she hasn't gained any major skins, she's got a golden skin since we last talked about her, which is pretty baller. And 10th is Victor, with a skin ratio of 1.43. I guess this is a bit cheating too, since the Rambo skin isn't even in the game yet at the time of me writing this, but they promised it will be soon, so it's not like it's coming out in the next patch or something, so it'll almost certainly be out by the time this video is. And it definitely is out by the time I'm recording this, so fantastic. Anyway, nice to see see this old boy is so high as he is. He's got 8 skins overall, which is actually pretty damn good. He's just existed for quite some time, longer than Maeve has, so the skin ratio is not exactly too close, even though they share an equal amount of skins. Alright, time for the lightning round. Up to the top 20, the next in line are Furia, who notably was 7th last time, Rom, who very notably was 2nd last time, Genos, who was 10th, Imani, who was 8th, Zin, who was 11th, Sky, who was in a 3-way tie for 18th, Octavia, who was uncountable, Androxus, who was 20th, Io, who was 30th, and I'll stop with Corvus, who was 36th. I would say these are some very nice dynamic examples of the differences when comparing this list to the last. Crazy what a couple more skins and a smidge of time would do. But enough with the pleasantries. It is time to take a gander at the flip side of the list, the outcasts and beggars per se. But of course, the only way that these characters would have changed their placement when compared to last time is as if they gained a skin, or another character has stagnated for even lower. So I suppose the question I should be asking is, what the hell's changed? Well, for a start, not a whole lot. The quintessential sad boy of the realm, Atlas, still resides here at the number 1 lowest. He calls it his home, for if there is anything he is used to, it is being the last of something truly fitting, I suppose. But going back in time ain't gonna get you out of this one. Yes, Atlas has been stuck being extremely low for a good while now. His history with skins is similar to many newer champions, as when he was introduced, he was acquainted with a single skin fairly early into his lifespan, a mere month afterward. He then would exist for a reasonable amount of time before, oh wait, never mind, that's where his similarities with any other character end, as the stated skin was both his first and last. April 24th, 2019. During the 2.4 Street Style patch was when he received this skin. Ironic, considering the streets are exactly where he would be thrown for the next several years. It has now been precisely 1008 days since he gained that skin. In the meantime, 11 champions have been released, all with at least 1 to 3 skins available to them. Meanwhile, Atlas resides nearly 3 years later with a single major skin to his name and leaving behind an appalling skin ratio of 0.35. Just like last time, I would insist on a moment of silence for our boy once again, but I feel his voice and the voice of his people have already been silenced for long enough. Willow's not here. Yay! Number 2 is not Willow. As we've talked about, she's got a new skin now, which is a huge W comparatively. That's all I wanted to say. Pray, continue. Okay, the number 2 lowest is indeed Moji. I may have a personal grudge against the generalized nature of Moji advocates, but she has indeed gained very little in terms of skins for her even longer existence than Atlas. This is the start of a little trend I like to call I don't know, characters that seem hard to make skins for. I actually don't call it anything. In any case, she's got a couple good skins, so it's not all bad, but still, let the record show, she was introduced on January 10th, 2018 during OB65, and with only 2 skins to show for, she holds a very low skin ratio of 0.49. Most certainly tragic, but honestly not as tragic as many would lead you to believe. No offense. I love you, Moji. You're so cute. Okay, well I guess you know you're down bad when even a damn tree gets even more skins than you. Grover holds number 3 for the lowest skin ratio. I don't know what to write in this segment. He's a tree, dude. Let me look at my last video script, hang on. He has a ton of random little snippets of skins and a recolor or 2 that were once presented as full skins, but also has some nice newer major skins to show off. The only reason he's this low is because of his age, being released on February 11th, 2016, and with just not enough skins to catch up to the norm. Again, he's just a hard character to make skins for, I'd imagine, which oddly seems to be a pattern so far, except for Atlas, who's just a guy. Thank you, old script. I can take it from here. One additional thing that's notable is that although neither Grover nor Moji gained skins during these past few patches, Moji has actually stagnated to even lower than Grover due to... wait, that doesn't make any sense. Due to Grover having more skins even though he's older, making a more sustainable skin ratio as opposed to Moji. See, it makes sense. Okay, in any case, Grover's been around since CB14, even though he had an entirely different moveset back then, and is left with a skin ratio of 0.5, just barely smidging himself above Moji. Next is a new entry to the bottom 5. Everyone please welcome this guy. I'm getting deja vu here. Okay, yeah, it looks like now that Willow has ascended, Shaolin has been welcomed into the bottom of the barrel. Good for him. I've kinda already talked about the inclusion of Shaw in the previous category, since of course he was new there as well, but I'm mainly surprised how far down he is. He'd technically be a pretty easy character to make skins for, and they clearly used to show him plenty of favor by giving him plenty of recolors, little fragments of skins, but that apparently dropped off a lot harder than I thought or anticipated, leaving his skin rate to grow rather stagnant. For some reason I get the feeling that he's gonna get a skin in the near future though. He just seems to be like one of those characters that the developers would acknowledge and address with a skin more so than others. That might just be me talking out my ass. Feel free to quote me on that though. But it really is interesting, I think, that he's here, replacing Willow. Or here at all. But then again, I don't know who else would be taking up the mantle. maybe Drogoz or something, I don't know. But yeah, our cocky bow wielder is 4th place for the lowest, for his skin ratio of 0.58. He was also released on November 10th, 2016 during OB37. I don't know why I'm saying when the characters were revealed now. I just found it interesting. Okay, the last that I'll cover in great detail. At the number 5 lowest, we have Torvald. Oddly, although things below him have shifted, he stays precisely where we left him. Still makes sense why he's here though, having been the longest to gain a skin for quite some time, long enough to where it actually affects his skin ratio quite badly. In the end though, he has 3 nice skins, and that apparently is enough to keep him away from number 1 for the time being. As usual, he's close enough to stay humble, while still remaining with some good quality majors to boot. He was implemented into the game on January 25th, 2017 during OB42, and has a low yet moderate skin ratio of 0.6. The bottom 5, you love to see it. I find there's a general low average, like more or less in the 0.5s, and later this average will move into the 0.6s as you'll see, with the only difference to that trend being Atlas, who is astronomically lower at 0.35. Jeez. The point I'm trying to make is that at least the lower skin ratios are somewhat consistent, meaning that no one champion in the game is particularly neglected over the others. Aside from Atlas. I'd like to think that this implies that the devs give everyone their time in the spotlight when the time comes, while still knowing that some other characters are easy to make skins for / more popular, and using that general idea to make skins. But the important thing is that I can say with good faith that everyone does get skins. It's just that there's so many characters in this game now, like it's inevitably gonna feel like some characters are more shoved under the rug than others, which in my opinion is truly nothing more than a feeling. Aside from with Atlas, who legitimately was shoved under the rug. I'm sure he's feeling that. Okay, going down the list a bit more briefly, we got the 6th lowest being Willow, with a skin ratio of 0.63. We found her. She may have gotten a skin, but she can't completely escape her past. Her absence of a skin and her time being scored lower means she'll have to gain more than just 1 skin to push her higher than, say, maybe the top 10 or so. The 7th and 8th lowest are Ruckus and Barrack, with skin ratios of 0.65. They're in basically the exact same situation as last time, so I'm not even going to bother writing a new script. Give me a break. This pair were both introduced in the beginning of the game, so time is already against them very hard. They are also the 2 to have the lowest major skin count out of the original cast, which obviously is how they ended up here. The 9th lowest is Talus, with a skin ratio of 0.69. Not the eldest of his brethren, and certainly not the most endowed. His existence here is simple, he doesn't have many skins. And it's been a while, nothing special. His residence here is nothing more than a logical step into the less egregiously low characters. The 10th lowest is Drogoz, with a skin ratio of also 0.69, although this 0.69 was not rounded, unlike the last 0.69, making this the superior 0.69. Drogoz is new to the bottom 10. He's gotten plenty of skins, but he's slowly lessened in that regard, stagnating and just getting lower and lower in terms of the skin ratio. I for one have used the same skins for this character for so long, it seems like years since this lad was blessed with any sort of quality. Which is true. Alrighty, once again, I'll be knocking them all down to the 20th. Keep in mind by their character icons, I'll be listing both their placings from the perspective of the lowest and highest. In other words, while Atlas might be number 1 lowest, he would be the number 50 highest. You get my drift? Okay, let's get on with it. Bomb King, who I previously recorded as 13th highest in my last video, although he had some issues of course back then, so take that with a grain of salt. Maldamba, who was previously 28th. Grok, who was previously 34th. Evie, who was previously 24th, although I think she had an issue or two as well. Kanessa, who was previously 33rd. Ash, who was previously 31st. Dredge, who was previously and still is the worst character in this game. Oh, and was 38th. Makoa, who was previously 29th. Terminus, who was previously 25th. And lastly, Vivian, who was previously 23rd. And this is where I scroll the list onto the page, since I said everything I would like to say and revealed everything I would like to reveal. For those who love indulging into the details, please enjoy. And once more, that looks like it's it. Again, this video / series, I guess by now, was not created to expose the Paladins people for having favorites. I think that's a bit silly. I simply find making lists and charts interesting, and making a video such as this is a terrific and hopefully entertaining way to express my own interest. So thanks for letting me do that. for whoever may have made it this far into the video. I appreciate it. In any case, I want to find more that I can figure out with this kind of list, like what other categories that I can explore. I did a couple other experiments. For example, the average character in this game has almost 4.5 major skins. There are 228 of what I consider to be major skins in this game. The champion most likely to gain a skin next patch is definitely 7, because of course he is. That kind of thing. Let me know if there's anything that you can think of that I can add to the next list. Or just make a list of in and of itself. Also, I'm still just messing around with making videos as a whole. Still trying to figure out my lyrical style, I suppose, as I'm still really all over the place in that regard. My mic is nothing special, but it gets the job done. So I apologize to those out there who cannot stand a non-professional microphone, plus the idiot who doesn't know how to use it. I do what I can with what I have. I literally only record late at night so that there aren't voices in the background. Like I said, I work with what I got. As an addition, I figure I'll make a video of this sort every 6 months to a year, exploring the same topic. At that point, I feel like enough changes would have occurred to make an interesting video and plenty of things to discuss. I'm also working on a skin tier list in the meantime, like ranking every skin in the game kind of thing, so stay tuned for that if you're interested at all. Now that I'm at the end of this video though, I did want to take the last segment from my last video and also put that here, as I do appreciate how I put it then, and there's no use breaking something that ain't broken. That's not right. This is not a list I made to expose the Paladins devs for holding favorites. I am hardly about that kind of energy against the people behind a game I love and enjoy so much, especially considering how entitled a community can act sometimes about a free game. In fact, one of the main reasons why I went and made this list is because I was tired of seeing people assume this and that character were the most ignored or favored with no feasible rhyme or reason, except for how, annoyed or biased they are towards a character on that specific day. In any case, this game is fun, which is something I feel people forget while playing, ironically enough. Skins are no way to judge how fun something is, or how much better a character is from another, so please have fun with whoever you want. You don't have to get skins if you don't want to, and get skins if you do. Be a good sport. Skins don't impact the game in any way whatsoever, so go on and enjoy yourself with the lads, no matter what game you're playing or what skin you're using. And with that being said, what are the 4 things we've learned today?
Give Atlas a skin, give Cassie a skin. I still don't know how to end a video and leave Dredge to burn. Don't be a douche and thanks for